How's it going, everyone? It's Juan Romero here from SwitchWatch, back with another review. This one is a Red Faction Guerrilla Re-Mastered. You see what they did there with the name. Very clever, but a tongue twister if ever I saw one. Let's get into the review, find out how this performs on the Nintendo Switch, and of course see if it's worth your time and investment. Let's get into it. Let's start this review by talking about the performance and visuals on the Nintendo Switch, as I'm sure many players may have already played the original back in 2009, or this remastered version in 2018 when it dropped on the PS4 and Xbox One. On the Switch version, I'm glad to say that for my part with the game, I rarely encountered many problems with this port, either in handheld or in docked. The game was very smooth, even on some of the heavier destruction parts which I tested. As with other THQ ports like Darksiders, there is the option for performance or quality mode here. Performance mode allows you to play at a slightly higher FPS with a drop in visual fidelity, and quality allows you to play at a slightly lower FPS but with an increase in that visual fidelity. I have to say, I always prefer to play at a higher FPS as I find it smoother and take a hit in that fidelity. However, disappointingly, none of these modes run at a 60 frames per second, not in my tests anyway. It wasn't a massive difference that I noticed in either mode, not like the recent Darksiders. I also noticed that on my TV the full screen would not be taken up, leaving a small black border in both modes, with no way to correct this on the settings in the game or on my TV unless I used the zoom mode on my television, which obviously I didn't want to do. I'm assuming the developers did this to keep the quality and smoothness as high as possible. Either way, just something to be aware of. This hasn't happened on any other games I've reviewed, by the way. Now, I did play the original game out, and I remember back in 2009 it having quite a few bugs. I'll get into those in the gameplay section of this review, so please stick around. But in terms of performance, it did used to chug a little bit from what I remember. It has been smoothed out here, and I was delighted with how it ran. What this game still has though is some of the best destruction models I have seen still to this day. The developer Volition have done an incredible job. The way the buildings crumble when you detonate some of those sticky bombs, or when you blast those buildings with a rocket launcher, is a sight to behold. Every building is destructible, and just using your massive hammer, for example, to smash down walls looks fantastic. Even when smashing through things, when lots of enemies were firing and loads was going on in the game, it powered through like a trooper on the Nintendo Switch, which is commendable. There's nothing quite like being in a tough situation, using a jetpack to blast through the roof of a building and bits to crumble around you as you blast through it. A fantastic sight to behold. What some may not get over though is those low textures and how barren the planet can look at times when travelling in between missions with vehicles. While it was not a massive issue for me, I know that for some this may look a little bit dated. In any case, a lot was done right in this game in the first place, and I'm happy that the transition for the most part has been handled very well, but it is what I expect now from THQ on Switch. Most of their ports thus far have been to a very good standard, with at least some options when it comes to the visuals. So if you're looking to pick up this game and go back to the Red Planet and play on the move, you'll have a good time on a Nintendo Switch. And if you're brand new to this franchise, I will now cover the rest of the review as we normally do. In terms of story, Red Faction is rather simplistic, but in fact it's what I quite liked about it. Nothing too complex, but the mission is simple. You play as Alex Mercer on Mars and you're a member of the Red Faction. Earth's natural resources have been depleted and the economy has therefore collapsed and suffered. The Earth Defense Force, or EDF, are the enemy, trying to take as much resource from Mars as possible, and Martians are in a state of oppression. Red Faction are the rebels who will not stand for this, and it's your job to drive the EDF from the planet section by section on the map. The story is okay and the main story missions are voiced. I did find that the characters could have been fleshed out more, as I didn't really feel too much for the guy I was playing, but either way I was intrigued to keep going and enjoyed it nevertheless. Now, in terms of that gameplay, if someone said to you this was a third-person shooter in an open world on Mars with destructible buildings, that you could smash them in any way you wanted, and you'd probably think this would be a ton of fun, and to be honest, you'd be right. Open up the map, there are a number of side missions and story-driven missions, each driving you to take more of the map from the enemy, which will involve demolishing important enemy buildings which are heavily protected, rescuing hostages in some missions, and taking down communication towers, and even one mission where it was your sole job just to fire rocket launchers into as many buildings as possible while being driven around. HD Rumble on the Switch adding to that wonderful destruction sensation in your hands. Most of the side missions are either comprised into raids or rescues, and some of these can be rather tough, although were enjoyable to take part in. The main story missions obviously have much larger set pieces, and to be honest, a real joy to take part in most of them. Each time you complete a mission, more of the map is taken over, more morale for your faction is gained in each particular sector. Demolishing buildings and totaling vehicles gains you salvage and also killing some enemies, which is the game's currency, and you can use this for all sorts of upgrades, from purchasing the rocket launcher to improving your armor. Salvage is used to fuel this war, so it's important to get as much of it as possible while exploring, and I found myself often getting distracted in this world, looking for EDF buildings I could take out just so I could get more salvage. Now there are a number of ways also that you can tackle missions too. You can go in all guns blazing, or you can take more of a stealth approach, maybe get a vehicle and just bash into the buildings if you want to. You can take them out from afar, pick them off one by one, and then go in and finish the demolition job. I like to get on top of buildings and set my explosives from there. Not the best way to demolish the buildings, as you need to start from the foundations. Damn good fun either way. You can return to the safe house at any time to refill your ammo if you run low, which at times you will do due to the amount of enemies you will encounter and firefights you will get into. However, you will receive help from others in the red faction as long as morale is built up. Even getting into the differing vehicles, whether it's a truck or buggy, and speeding around the map is fun. Get a vehicle with a gun turret and you can take out enemies from your vehicle. There's a nice selection of weapons too, which you can swap between equipped weapons that you require in any given situation, and red faction lockers are strewn across the map for you to find and restock ammo, which comes in handy. The weapons are all great fun to use, especially explosives. So much fun can be had from laying in wait for the enemy to come near one of your set explosives and just detonating it, a kaboom. Watch the debris go all over the place. Absolutely love that. I experienced it all here, and I had a lot of fun exploring the map and taking part in all of the missions. What I can say is that once the novelty of demolishing buildings wears out, you may find yourself thinking this will get a bit repetitive, but I always found something to do and kept myself entertained, and think that's a great testament to the game, especially when the main purpose of it a lot of the time is the destruction of the enemy buildings. There are some bugs here, however, which I did come across. Sometimes AI will get stuck in debris and will not be able to get free, although a shot to them will put them to sleep, and that usually solves the issue. At times the AI seems pretty good rolling around to miss your incoming shots, but other times they just stand there while you blast away. We have had many games since this originally dropped in 2009 that certainly make a lot more use of buildings to cover yourself whilst being shot. Here not so much. Some may get annoyed at the amount of enemies which respawn over and over again, but it's all about how you manage these situations. I found that running away and coming back would be one way of getting out of potentially deadly situations. Killing enemies for me felt like the secondary part of the game though. While it has to be done, you could tell that destruction is the primary part of the game here, and was given the most attention. And I felt the gunfights could feel a little bit hollow at times, and the enemies were a little bullet spongy. However, while these are nitpicks, it didn't detract for one moment the fun I had on this. I actually forgot just how fun it was playing it again, and on the Switch it breathed a whole new life into this game for me. There are other modes too, which you can play when you want to come out of the main campaign, such as Total Chaos, and all of these modes can be played with up to 4 friends. Cause as much damage as possible in 1 minute with unlimited ammo, or maybe Behemoth is more your thing, using a walker, which is the game's mechs in this game, to crumple buildings. Pure and utter carnage. There's also Escalation, where you play around with limited ammo, and if you win that round you get more ammo in the next round, and time also increases. You've also got Rampage mode, where you have 3 minutes to cause as much damage as possible. Each shot taken decreases your time. All are fun for a quick play. There are some bonus missions included in this game also, and of course online play, which I'm sure many of you will be interested in, although I could not find anyone to play with at the time of this review. I will update if anything changes after the time of release, which I'm sure it will do. I hope that more people will have this and give it a go, but as with most older ports, it seems like the ecosystem of players is just never really going to be there. Best then, I would say, to play with some friends if you can, but I will test out the online mode once the game releases and let you know if there's any issues. audio in Red Faction is pretty stellar from my point of view. I think the ambient sound when exploring the planet are on point, entering into gunfights and hearing all the bullets fly past you sounds as good as ever, and the story-driven parts of the game is narrated well.
Dan said they'd take everything. For me, they already have.
Drop the weapon, now!
You guys afraid of a hammer?
Drop it, smartass.
In terms of value, you're looking at around 14 hours to complete the story-driven missions and around 20 to complete all the side missions, and for completionists out there, expect to put in around 30 to 40 hours. So there is a lot of value to be had here, all very fun, not to mention all the other modes you can play. THQ are asking for their usual £26.99 or $29.99, and you can buy this in a physical version too if you want to. Check it out on our Amazon page in the link below. Every purchase does help the channel, so thank you to all of those who have supported us thus far. Now, I would not be personally disappointed spending this amount of money on this game, either as a revisit or as a person new to this franchise. In terms of my verdict, Red Faction Guerrilla Re-Mastered had issues in its original release, and some of those problems are still here and have not been ironed out. The good news is, though, that it runs very well in both docked and in handheld mode, and what cannot be denied is that this game is just a lot of fun whatever way you slice it. And that's what it's all about for us. We think if you've not played this before and want it on the Nintendo Switch, then go for it. If you do have a PS4 or Xbox, then you may want to get it on one of those systems, as it will be cheaper now for sure. Nothing beats the number of ways you can demolish buildings in this game and watching them crumble in front of you. It never ceases to bring a smile to my face, and that's what it's all about. An 8 out of 10 from me if you enjoyed this review, ladies and gentlemen. It would be great if you could leave a like and a comment down below letting us know whether you're looking to purchase this game, and if you're excited about it, love to hear from you. My name's Juan Romero from SwitchWatch. I'll see you again on the next one. Take care.